Oh, okay.
Hi, I'm Sue.
And I'm Katie, and we're a mother-daughter duo.
Dismantling the status quo of the generational lies.
Today we're joined by one of my good friends, Crystal Delpini. She is a teacher, an actress, a mother. She does all the things. And today we're going to dismantle the lie that we are not enough.
Yeah.
So,
So
Crystal,
welcome, Crystal.
Hi.
or lie.
So the lie that I think I was told, and either subconsciously or verbally, starting in high school, was that I was not good enough. And it started, unfortunately, in like the fine arts in high school. Um, I can remember like we had to audition for everything. So it was pretty defeating when you didn't get what you thought you could handle. But distinctly, like my senior year of high school, I did a play, a musical that was strictly like solos. Um, and a person that I had known for like 4 or 5 years at that point came up to me after the show, and his only feedback was, "Wow, you sounded really in tune." Not like, "Hey, you did a great job," but that was just his comment to me after the show, and I was just like, "Oh, thank you." Like I wasn't, it was kind of like that underhanded comment. Um, and then that's where it kind of like the stage fright started. Am I not good enough to be on stage with others? Um, and then it kind of filtered into the rest of my high school career. And really, I was a theater major in college for about 3 years, and then I didn't think that I could handle it. Um, and I always would say, like, I'm not good enough to be a performer. I'm not good enough to do this. And it's because of comments that people have made. And um, it was only like recently, probably like March-ish of last year that I was like, I can do this because I was beginning to get that confidence. And I'm 37 years old. So, like, that was probably 20 years of being told, like, you're not as good as you could be. Um, I had terrible stage fright. I break into hives going from my chest all the way up my face. Um, and I would never want to be like in front. I would always be in the background, just because of comments that people have made to me. So that's kind of where the lie came from.
So, do you think the lie started in high school, or do you think it started way before then? Because they say that most of our well, lies or false truths start around 5 or 6.
Hmm.
Um, I think maybe it began in elementary school, and it was never something that like my mom instilled in us. Um, it was more of the peers around me. I went to a private grade school, so I was there from K to 8. Um, and if I really want to dig deep into it, I was a basketball player, a volleyball player, as a cheerleader, but I was never good enough to play. I was tall, so like I got the tall people places, and but then like the coach's daughter got to play more of the game and stuff like that. So maybe it started then. Um, but I've always been the one to like if someone's like, "Oh, let a man do it." I'm like, "No." Like if they're like, "Let a man carry this from here to there." I'm like, "Or I can do it and I'll try." Um
Hmm.
because I never want someone to be like, "Oh, well, she can't do it." But again, like and I try to instill that in my own kids. Like you can do anything that you want to. Um, and it doesn't matter like what other people tell you.
Yeah. I do that with Olivia all the time. I ask her who
Mhm.
she is, and then she'll tell me that she's Olivia and she can do anything. And she's like, "But Auntie Katie, what if I can't, like, what if there's something that I actually can't do?" And I'm like, "You can still do it because you can ask for help."
Yeah.
And that's still being able to do it. But yeah, I it sounds like, because I can kind of relate to this, like it's not so much that people told you growing up that you weren't enough. It was in like the actions of like what they were
Yes.
doing. Like it was that subtle, like, well, you can be in this spot because you're tall, while this person can be in this spot. And like it's like they're not verbally telling you that you're not good enough. It's like
Mhm.
what they're doing is slowly putting that thought in your mind.
Yeah. And it's defeating.
Mhm.
It's defeating. At the park district, um, now in the fifth show that I've been in, but I never wanted to audition because A, I didn't know it was a thing, but I didn't want someone to tell me that I wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
So that fear of being not good enough prevented me from doing something that I absolutely love. Um, and I would not have tried it if it wasn't for my daughter saying I had to, you know? So, um,
I can
yeah,
relate to
but it was,
that.
yeah, I didn't want to be told that I wasn't good enough and that I didn't deserve to be there. So I just didn't do it.
Yeah.
And nobody really ever says you're not good enough or you don't deserve to be there. That's what I really love
Mhm.
helping people understand is we make that assumption and then we make the lie
Hmm.
so real that we live it like it's the truth of all truths and there is no going
Yeah.
and and that's the piece of the lie that is so debilitating, right? And until we figure out that we made the assumption maybe back in grammar school in basketball or whatever you did, and it just kept building until you went to audition and you still believed it like wholeheartedly. I don't belong
Mhm.
there.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
and
and
there's
I
still
think
times now that I'm like, I didn't deserve that. Somebody else should have had it over me.
mhm.
But again, it's a rewiring. Like
Mhm.
we say it to ourselves. Nobody's ever said like, "Hey, you stink. You shouldn't do this."
No, but
Um,
Yeah.
like it's a rewiring of our brains that just undoing 20 years of thoughts is really hard.
Yeah, I was gonna say like this is a lie that like you like last week we talked about like money doesn't equal success or success doesn't equal money, and like that's a lie where like once you realize that and you start stepping into like your truth and what feels right, like you don't really go back on that. Like you're like, okay, I've dismantled this lie, but this is a lie that like it's always in some way going to be a part of you, and you're kind of going to have to
Hmm.
always figure out like how do I work through this, or like what do I do to
Yeah.
move past this. And I think that kind of like what I talk about in like my workshops around fear is like it's through action. Like if I'm going to sit and do nothing, then that constant conversation of not being enough is going to continue to play. But if I'm like, oh, I'm going to choose to do this other thing and I'm going to choose to audition for the show or I'm going to choose to be in the show, like then I'm choosing an action that's going to move through that conversation of not being enough, and doesn't mean the conversation's going away. It just means that I'm choosing something different.
Yeah.
I like, and
So,
I know Katie does this too, but something we like people to do is name that. Like, I'm not enough. What is a name you could give it that you would remember? And so instead of them being an enemy or a negative thing, you make them like a friend. So it's more positive, and you can
Mhm.
yeah.
say, "Hey, I'm auditioning for this show, Pat," or whatever you're going to name it, And I am
Yeah.
gonna get a lead, I'm gonna get the part that I get, and I will be enough. And eventually you rewire faster because you're looking at it from a different lens.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Look at it today.
Yep.
Yeah. When I think about it too, like my insecurities and my not being enough, like I never want to put that. I have two young daughters, 9 and 4, and I never want them to think that they're not enough. My one daughter just started baseball last week, and it's a class, and she's in a class with all boys, and she's the only girl. And I said, if you're the only girl, I said you kick ass. And
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
she said, well, what does that mean? I said, what does that mean? I go, you let them know who's boss, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think she started to like relish the fact that she was the only girl and she was going to show them
Mm-hmm.
who's boss. Um, and so I never want to put my insecurities and my lies on them, and I should start listening to my own advice to them, um, and just being nicer to myself, I guess, because I think that's a big thing
I
too.
have a big question for you is who's your best friend?
Who's my best friend? Well, well, Elizabeth and Katie are my best friends. Um,
What if I told you that was
I
the
was
wrong
gonna tell you it's the wrong answer.
is my best friend? Um, okay.
and I don't even know you, but your best friend is actually you. And all the things you
Okay.
tell yourself, you would never say to Katie and or Elizabeth, right? You would never say it. You, you know,
No.
Katie, you are not enough. Don't audition for that part because you're never. You should be in there. Blah blah blah. There's a better person for the part. You would never say that to her, Elizabeth, but you do to
Yeah.
yourself. So if you want to shift the mindset, you get to say, "Hey, I'm not going to talk to myself like that anymore because I am my best friend."
Yeah.
But that's what we
Yeah.
do. We tend to beat ourselves up.
And I think
Yeah.
like even though you have those conversations with yourself, like your girls watch what you're doing and they see you like doing
Hmm.
the hard things that like are like the things. I mean, they might not know that it's hard, but like auditioning for a show,
Hmm.
like they saw you as fairy godmother. They didn't get to see you as Tina, but you were Tina. They saw you as like the
I
Empress, the what was she? The Anastasia's mother, and like they
Yes.
see you in those roles and they see you like on stage doing things that are not necessarily easy.
and they see you
Yeah.
managing Crystal
Hmm.
and life because
Yeah.
you have your husband, right, and the children and friends
Yeah.
and family, and you have to you. That's a lot, and they see you
Yeah.
doing it. Now, the only thing I can tell you is that they're going to have their own assumptions because you can't be with them 24/7. They're going
Yes.
to create their own false truths or lies because
Hmm.
it's just what we do as humans.
Hmm.
Who knows why we do it, but we do. Um, and we do it our I mean you're gonna even though you say you're 37, I'm gonna be 65 and I do it all the time. Like I
Hmm.
still do it. Am I enough? Whatever
Yeah.
enough,
Yeah.
but it is the one that encompasses all, I think, next to fear.
Yeah, I was just gonna say if we bring it like from a fear perspective, it's like the we tell ourselves these lies or we allow ourselves these to believe these lies because we want to protect ourselves, and our fear has one job and that's to protect us, and it doesn't know that like it's keeping us from living like the best life possible or all these things, but like at the end of the day it has one job, and that's to keep us safe. And so we create these stories or these believe these lies in order to keep ourselves safe at the end of the day, and in turn we're
Mm-hmm.
creating more strife and like more lies essentially.
Mm-hmm.
that we
Yeah.
truly believe, I mean. So, how would you say that? Now, we talked about how it was affected in your theater and maybe in sports as a child. How would you say today it affects you in as Crystal, the teacher and the mom and the wife, and uh,
Yeah.
your life, period?
I think that like overall, like as a teacher, you know, your first 4 years, you could be fired for any reason, right? Like, so you have to be, and there was always the fear that I'm not doing a good enough job to make sure I maintain my position. Um, but I've now been at my current school for almost 9 years completely. Um, but it's always like, am I as good as this teacher? Am I teaching it as good as this person could have taught it? Because if my students aren't learning, is that a result that I was not a good enough teacher, or I didn't teach it well enough to them to make them understand the concepts? Um, and with middle school, that's hard because they have to learn the concepts, but um, it's like, did I teach it well enough? It's a constant evaluation. Like, what could I have done
Hmm.
differently? But I think that some of that's reflective too, like being a reflective person and okay, maybe this lesson didn't go the way I wanted it to, but how can I make it better? Um, but you do question, like, am I a good enough teacher? Do I develop good enough relationships with my students that they're going to want to come back? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Hmm.
did I do my job to the best of my ability?
Yeah,
So,
I think,
And some days the answer is yes, and some days the answer is no.
no. And
right.
I think, during COVID, when we came out of COVID, a lot of teachers stopped teaching because they didn't think
Hmm.
Yep.
it was too stressful, or
Yeah.
maybe they thought they weren't enough. I don't know the answer to that, but that I see is becoming
Yeah.
prevalent. But how do you think like that?
Yes.
Always reevaluating yourself. That's a that's stress in itself. Like always doing it
Yes.
Hmm.
work. How do you think that seeps into?
um I don't cope with stress the best, and I'll admit that firsthand. Um, but I try, it hasn't been the case lately, but I try to leave work at work. I don't bring a work home with me. I try to leave that at school, um, so that when I'm home, I can be with my family. But am I handling my kids the best way I should? Did I yell at them when I shouldn't have? Is my temper just a little shorter today because of this, that, and the other? Um, and unfortunately, like that stress does seep into my family life. Um,
Yeah, because they're all integrated,
yeah.
right?
Hmm.
I don't realize.
So,
So, do you have like for what do you do for Crystal?
but I read a lot. Um, it doesn't sound like it's for me, and it does add stress to my life. But I'm also in grad school.
Oh,
Um,
Working on our third
just
master's.
just another layer of.
do you think
But I
that is because you feel like you're not enough and you got to get more?
Um, sometimes yes, but also in education, if I want to get paid more money, I have to have more credentials. Um, but I am hoping with this will be my third master's degree. Um, but it can also change my position in the school. Um, my ultimate goal is to work with curriculum and special needs students. Um, so how did I get there? I had to take more classes to get there. Um, so I don't know that it's always about not being enough, but I think it is, well, if I stop, what do I do?
Yeah.
Because then I don't have enough to do.
Right. But
Even though I
the
I
thing
do,
you
I
say,
have plenty to do.
this thing that you say going to school is for you, it
Hmm.
is, but it isn't what I was talking about. Right, Katie?
For me,
I mean, like we
Well,
have
I mean it is because it gives I think what Crystal's trying to get at is like it is for her because in the sense that she has a trajectory for where she wants to get in her career and this is what she has to do. And so yes, that doesn't sound necessarily like the most fun thing to do for yourself, but like I get it in the
yeah,
sense that like if we want to get somewhere in our career and do the thing that we are dreaming about doing with our life, sometimes that means we have to go to school. And also I can see like in her life being able to like go in her room and read for a little, like even if it's for grad school, that's like a little oasis for herself, like, so I can see
yeah,
it, but I can also see what you're saying where it's like it's not really for her, it's for other people because she's working to get this degree so she can do these things for other people. So it's like this
yeah.
like catch 22 kind of area. But I think if like you didn't say
doesn't
the one thing that I
doesn't
know
feel
you do for
emotional,
yourself.
babe.
Yeah, but the one thing that she does that I'm surprised you didn't say is theater. Like the show that
Yes,
she's doing right now, she's wasn't planning on doing, but because it fills her bank, that's why she's doing it.
yes. I was, well, and even, yes, theater makes me happy, and that's where my best friends are. And so, like, I was not going to do Tony and Tina's wedding. I didn't have time for it. It was improv. I was not comfortable with improv, but I told myself at the beginning of the school year too, like we had all these meetings, and the superintendent kept saying like step outside of your comfort zone. And so I auditioned for Tony and Tina's, never in the world thinking that I was going to be cast as Tina. Still, like I think I told Katie, like up until the day that we performed, even after that, I was like, I did not deserve that. It should have gone to somebody else, like who was more deserving of it. But then, um, I had so much fun, and the
Mhm.
spring show, I was not going to be able to do because my kids are in a wedding, but the show dates were changed, so I'm giving up. I'm not giving it up. I am not attending a function at my daughter's school so that I can perform in the show because that's what makes me happy at this point in time.
That's her emotional bank.
Whereas
And reading.
Mhm.
yeah,
I look
Yep.
at
and reading.
the masters, I almost look at the masters as a part-time job. That's why I said that. Like, because
It is. It kind of is.
right, you got to go there, you
Mhm.
got to take your classes, you got to take tests, you got to study, you know. But your theater is
Yeah.
fun. Your reading the books is probably
Mhm.
fun, and I say that with you know, I just you got to fill
Yeah.
that bank because you got so much to do that you have to have the
Hmm.
capacity for it, and that
Mhm.
is your piece. So that's
Yeah.
good that you're
Yeah.
doing.
And I think I'm starting to now like do more things for me. Yes, I have my family to take care of, but like doing things for me and my family instead of things that I feel like should be obligations to me. I'm like, I have to do what's best for me at this point in time.
It's what gives
Mhm.
And I phrased
you
it like
capacity.
that.
Yeah, it gives you all the capacity you need to do all of it and not
Yeah.
feel drained.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of like like the bow on it all is like we have to be able to set boundaries for ourselves to create to change the conversation and the narrative. Like I
Yeah.
am enough and therefore I can choose these things for myself that work in my life instead of doing what makes everybody else happy.
Yeah. and I'm a self-admitted people pleaser, like, but I've started to be like, I can't do this. I need a break from this, that, the other, like I can't do
Mhm.
what you need me to do. You need to do it type
Yeah,
thing.
I am a people pleaser too.
I think we all are.
I mean, I
Yeah.
mean,
I
so
think when you
much
go
so
into a helping profession, you are a people
I
pleaser.
I know, but it's better if you can delegate a little bit. You
Hmm.
have people in
And
your
I have a
life.
hard time with that.
Or accepting, like I remember when Katie and Brian were little, I would say, I'd say, this is the date of their birthday parties. And if someone couldn't come, I'd change the date. And then someone else
Yeah.
would come. And then it was so stressful until I got older. I mean, I'm much older. You guys are younger learning these things, but much older knowing, so what if one can't go? So what? Like
Yeah.
Hmm.
the party can
Yeah.
still be good. And I think boundaries and letting people help you, but the enough piece,
Yeah.
what do you think would be your, as we kind of wrap up, like, even just talking about it today, probably your
Hmm.
head is saying, God, I could do these things to change it. Because it's not like a program where we can stick a new, upgrade the program. We've got to redo it manually. So what would be one of the biggest, one thing, even from talking, that you think, oh, I could do this moving forward that would change my perspective on not enough?
Um, I don't I think that the suggestion of, naming the the fear of not being enough and really kind of like talking to it head on and saying like you're wrong in this sense kind of helps to put it into perspective more maybe.
Hmm.
Um and it personalizes it. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
it's no longer this big thing. It's it's a smaller thing that I can tackle, if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Because
Hmm.
all those big lies.
100%.
I know Katie teaches this too, but you drive in your car. They were that not enough was sitting next to you, or driving the
Yeah.
car.
It's like
Not
that
sitting
they can sit next to you. They can sit in the like you're the one in control. It's not
Yeah,
that fear of not being
yeah,
enough. It's they're no
yeah.
longer in the driver's seat.
You gotta just
And I
slap
think slowly that's something that I'm like,
learning.
yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Now you can name it.
So,
I'll be interested when I come up to Illinois to know what you named.
okay.
Not, and if
She'll
it's,
she'll be here for Cinderella,
I'll be there. I'll be to all the shows. If
except
you're
for Thursday.
sitting, if not enough, whoever your name it is sitting next to you, or is it driving the car? Is it sitting next to you, or did you get it in the back seat?
Okay.
The back seat is where we want it. If you're not
Mhm.
driving, you're in the back seat, and that's like your little comfort zone.
Yeah.
Nothing changes there. But I'd be interested what the name is, and maybe we'll put it on LinkedIn. We'll say, remember Crystal? She enough this, and it is sitting in the back seat of the car.
Yeah.
So,
Yes. Well, thank you so much for joining us today and helping
Yeah.
us dismantle the lie of not being enough. I think it's something that a lot of people, if not everyone, can relate to. So thank you for bringing it to the podcast.
Sure. Thanks for having
yes,
me.
making us tackle a big one right away. But thank you very much. I will see you girls.
Yeah,
And I hope
bye.
everybody looks for the podcast on Wednesday.
For
Mhm.
sure. Thank you.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Bye.